Hello everybody, welcome to this next video on linear algebra. In this video, we will look at some interesting examples of change of basis matrix, and we will also try to understand what this matrix physically does, right? So this is the topic, interesting examples of change of basis matrix. So let us see what we have done till now. We have a vector space V and we have two bases B1 and B2, and we saw that if we want to go from B1 to B2, then this is the change of basis matrix, change of basis matrix from B1 to B2, from B1 to B2, and we also write it as I, identity map B1 to B2, and then we have I B2 to B1, and notation is also this B1 B2. This is change of basis matrix from B2 to B1, from B2 to B1, and if we call it P and it Q, we saw that P is equal to Q inverse and Q is equal to P inverse. This is what we have already seen, and further we also saw that if you have the coordinates of a vector u with respect to the basis b1 and you multiply it with the change of basis matrix, you will get the coordinates of the vector u with respect to the basis b2. So this is an important result which is what we have already seen, right? So these are the results which you will use for solving your problems and for solving the questions in the exam. But when you learn a subject, then it is more important to understand what exactly is happening than solving the problems in your exam, because that should be your aim for learning any subject. So let us see what this matrix physically, or try to interpret that what this matrix holds, right, in it. So let us see. For that, I'll take an example from scalars. To understand that, to understand what this change of basis matrix hold, what this change of basis matrix holds in it, we take an example from scalars, because scalars, they are our best friends, right? We know scalars very fondly as compared to vectors. So we take example of scalars. So scalars are also vectors, right? We can always take that. So let us take a vector space V, space of all lengths, right? Now I know that I can measure length in feet, I can measure length in yards. So let us take a basis b1, which is yard. So I'm measuring the lengths in yard, and I'm taking a basis b2 where I'm measuring my things in the form of, in the unit feet, or so the basis will be foot. Okay, so now I want to know what is the this b1 to b2, what is this, right? So I already know that 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. We know this conversion. So if we want to find this matrix, then we have to write the elements of b1 in terms of b2. So I write this 1 yard as 3 feet. So this will be the column. Now because this is one element, so my matrix will be 1 cross 1. So this matrix is 3, right? So if I have a vector u, say its length in foot is, say it is say 4 feet, or this is, say its length in feet is, we have this u vector, it has length, this is the transformation, right, from yard to feet. Clear? Right. Now suppose you have a vector u which is, say, 4 yards, right, and I want to know how many feet. For that, u in feet will be I yard feet into u in yards, right, and this is 3 into this is 4, so this is 12, right? So you see here, what is this? This is a quantity, that how many yards are there, in one, how many feet are there in 1 yard, right? So this is how many feet are there in 1 yard, right? So it means that how much feet is your B2, right? How much B2 lies in B1? So this matrix, which is a change of basis matrix from B1 to B2, measures how much B2 lies in B1. How much B2 lies in B1. So this change of basis matrix measures how much B2 lies in B1. So we have this B2 B1. This measures how much B2 lies in B1, and conversely B1 B2 measures how much B1 lies in B2. Fine. For example, you can convert it, if you want, in this particular case you want B1 B2. Now we have B2, you want to go from B2 to B1. B2 is your feet and B1 is your yards. So you want to write how much 1 yard, 1 foot is equal to how many yards? That is 1/3 yards. Right. So the change of basis matrix from foot to yard will be 1/3. So you see, this quantity is how many yards are there in 1 foot. How many yards are there in 1 foot? So that yards is your B1. So how much B1 is there in foot is your B2. So this matrix tells you how much B1 is there in B2, right? So this is the idea of change of basis matrix. So we can conclude that idea of change of basis matrix is that this quantity here B1 B2 measures how much B1 is there in B2, how much B1 is contained in B2. Now this phenomena, you have to understand that what kind of containment is there contained in B2, and this B2 B1 measures how much B2 is contained in B1. B2 is contained in B1, right? So I'll give you one more interesting example of change of basis. Suppose another example is, suppose we have a mixture of carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide. So you have a mixture of carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide. Right. So you have a space which is vector space, which is all possible combinations of carbon oxide and carbon monoxide. So all possible combinations of carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide, right? Now obviously one of the bases which you can take for this space is carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide, right? Now you can take another basis B2, where you just take carbon and oxygen. So how many atoms of carbon and how many atoms of oxygen? We are ignoring all the bonds and everything, right? So if I want to go from B1 to B2, so change of basis matrix from B1 to B2, that is easy. I have to write this as linear combination of this. So I know 1 carbon dioxide is 1 atom of carbon plus 2 atoms of oxygen, and 1 carbon monoxide is 1 atom of carbon and 1 atom of oxygen. So I have this matrix B2 B1 is 1 2 1 1. This is making the first column here, and this is making the second column here. So now it is very clearly understood that this matrix actually depicts that how much of B2 is your carbon and oxygen, is contained in B1, that is in carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide. So this is very clearly understood from this example, that here this matrix is somehow telling us that how much carbon and oxygen are there in carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide. The first column tells you how much carbon and oxygen atoms are there in carbon dioxide, and the second column tells you how much carbon and oxygen are there in carbon monoxide. Now let us look at this B1 B2. So that will be inverse of this matrix, right? So basically you want to write B2 is your carbon and oxygen, and B1 is your carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide. So you want to know how much of carbon is there as a combination of carbon dioxide and combination of carbon monoxide. And similarly, you want to know many atoms of like how you can write one atom of oxygen as X into carbon dioxide plus Y into carbon monoxide, right? So that is very easily you can do from here. So this is actually X into 1 carbon plus 2 oxygen plus Y into 1 carbon plus 1 oxygen. So here you have X plus Y carbon plus 2X plus Y oxygen, and on the left hand side you have 1 carbon. So it means that X plus Y is equal to 1 and 2X plus Y is equal to 0, right, which gives you Y is equal to minus 2X, which gives you minus X is equal to 1. So X is minus 1 here and Y is 2, right? So your first column for this matrix B1, B2 is minus 1 and 2. Similarly, you count this, you compute it, you'll get 1 and minus 1. Right. Now can you interpret what is happening here? Here you had B1 as carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide, right? And your B2 is carbon and oxygen, right? So this is the change of basis matrix from B2 to B1. So why these negative numbers here? Why these negative numbers here? So you are saying how much of B1 is contained in B2. See how much of carbon dioxide is contained in carbon and oxygen, right? So how much of B1 is contained in B2, right? So that is the idea here. So you see here, if you you basically you have this thing that you want to write this carbon as this half into carbon monoxide. You may think that okay, because you want this to be oxygen atom, say oxygen atom should be there should be a factor of half, right? So you will get half carbon atom plus 1 oxygen atom. So you have to remove this half carbon atom, but the other element which is there in this basis is only carbon monoxide. So you have to remove this half carbon atom with the help of carbon monoxide, and so you will put minus half into carbon monoxide, right? But there comes a factor of minus half oxygen again, right? So you can't have simple factors. That is why these negative numbers are there. So these negative numbers are to balance, because you have to write carbon in terms of carbon oxide, carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide. So that is why you have negative numbers. And whereas for this particular matrix which we talked about earlier, we had to write carbon dioxide in terms of carbon and oxygen. That was simple. That is why we had positive numbers here. And here we saw that this tells you that how much of carbon and oxygen is contained in carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide. And here it is telling us how much of carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide is contained in carbon and oxygen. Is that thing clear? So this is what the change of basis matrix interprets. It tells you how much of one basis is contained in other basis, and that containment is is a subjective thing to understand. It will be different for different situations, right? For example, in this particular situations we are talking about how much carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide contained in carbon and oxygen and otherwise. And if you change the example, that containment will also change. Okay, thank you for watching this video. Please do subscribe to this channel and share this video, and please visit Maths for All's website, which is the link is given in the description. There you can attempt quiz for assessing your progress in this particular course. Thank you for watching this video. Stay connected.